Have you ever wondered if there's a grain of truth in the stories of the Bible? This timeless book has been at the heart of countless debates, sparking curiosity and questions in the minds of believers and skeptics alike. Today, we venture into these ancient narratives, unearthing their mysteries, and exploring whether they hold any historical veracity. The Bible, to many, is more than just a book. It's a historical document, a moral compass, and a guide to life. It's been studied and dissected by theologians, historians, and scholars for centuries, each wanting to grasp its profound wisdom and unravel its cryptic messages. Some view it as a literal historical account, while others see it as a compilation of allegorical tales meant to impart moral and spiritual lessons. No matter the perspective, there's no denying the intriguing enigma that the Bible presents. In the coming segments, we will sift through some of the most famous stories found within its pages. From the great deluge that supposedly wiped out all of life, save for Noah and his ark, to the miraculous journey of freedom led by Moses across the Red Sea. We'll also explore the tale of unparalleled courage exhibited by David in his battle against Goliath, and of course the life-altering narrative of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Each of these stories carries a unique allure, a blend of the supernatural and the human, the divine and the mundane. Our journey will not be one of judgment, but of exploration. We're not here to prove or disprove, but rather to understand, to question, and to learn. We'll delve into historical records, archaeological findings, and scholarly interpretations, all in a bid to shed light on these fascinating tales. So, are you ready to embark on this voyage of discovery with us? To question the known and venture into the unknown? To challenge assumptions and broaden perspectives? If so, then buckle up, because it's going to be a thought-provoking ride. Join us as we delve into the depths of these ancient narratives and attempt to uncover their possible truths. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. These are the opening lines of the Bible, launching into the Genesis creation narrative. It's a tale told throughout millennia, passed down through generations. But how much of this story is literal truth, and how much is metaphorical? The creation story tells us that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. It's a narrative that has been interpreted in countless ways, from a literal 6-day creation to a metaphorical timeline representing vast epochs of time. Some propose that each day represents an era, allowing for the billions of years that science suggests our universe has been around. And what about the creation of life? The Bible says that God created all living creatures, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, and finally, man and woman. This has been interpreted by some as a poetic account of the actual order of evolution, from simple life forms to complex mammals and finally to humans. Now let's compare this to scientific theories. The Big Bang theory, for instance, suggests that our universe began from a singularity, a point of infinite density, around 13.8 billion years ago. It then expanded and evolved into the vast cosmos we see today. And the theory of evolution? It posits that life on Earth began as simple single-celled organisms around 3.5 billion years ago. Over eons, these life forms evolved into the diverse array of species we see today, including us, humans. So, where does this leave us? Well, it's not a binary choice between science and faith. Many scientists are people of faith, and many religious people value science. The creation story and scientific theories may seem at odds, but perhaps they're telling the same story from different perspectives. The Bible's creation story could be seen as a metaphorical account of the universe's birth and life's evolution, crafted in a way that people of ancient times could understand. It's a narrative that speaks to the wonder and mystery of our existence. So, could the creation story be a metaphorical account of the universe's birth and life's evolution? It's a possibility. A man, an ark, and a world-engulfing flood. From this sentence alone, many of you might instantly recognize the age-old tale of Noah's Ark. This story, found in the book of Genesis in the Bible, tells of a man named Noah who was instructed by God to build an ark and fill it with a pair of every kind of creature on earth. Following this, a great flood was said to have covered the entire world, sparing only Noah, his family, and the creatures aboard the ark. But what if I told you that the story of Noah's Ark might not just be a parable or a myth? What if there's a possibility that it could be based on real events? Let's delve a little deeper into this. The story of Noah's Ark is not unique to the Bible. In fact, many ancient cultures, from the Sumerians to the Greeks, have similar tales of a great deluge that wiped out most of humanity, only to have it repopulated by a select few survivors. For instance, the Epic of Gilgamesh, an ancient Mesopotamian tale, speaks of a man named Utnapishtim, who was also warned of a divine flood and built a boat to survive. Similarly, in Greek mythology, we find the story of Deucalion and Pyrrha, who repopulated the earth after a catastrophic flood. Are these merely coincidental similarities, or could they be fragments of a shared human memory? Scientists have found evidence of massive floods in various parts of the world, some dating back to roughly the same time period. In the Black Sea region, for example, evidence of a great flood around 7,000 years ago was discovered. So, could the story of Noah's Ark be an exaggerated account of a real historical event? Could it be possible that a massive flood did occur, causing widespread devastation, and was later passed down through generations as a cautionary tale? While we may never know for certain, the evidence does give us food for thought. If nothing else, it reminds us of the power of storytelling and the enduring legacy of our shared human history. Could Noah's Ark be an exaggerated account of a real historical event? Perhaps? A leader, a pharaoh, and a sea that parts. This is the story of the Exodus, a tale deeply embedded in the psyche of many cultures, a narrative of freedom that has reverberated throughout the ages. But what is the truth behind this epic saga? The Exodus story is a cornerstone of three major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It tells of Moses, chosen by God, who leads the Israelites out of Egypt, where they have been enslaved for generations. They journey through the wilderness, facing trials and tribulations until they reach the promised land. The story is one of faith, liberation, and divine intervention, with the parting of the Red Sea being one of the most iconic miracles in religious literature. But could there be a kernel of truth in this grand narrative? Could the Exodus have been a real historical event, possibly exaggerated over time? Archaeologists have long sought evidence to support or refute the story. There have been claims of chariot wheels found at the bottom of the Red Sea and of ancient inscriptions that reference a group of people similar to the Israelites. However, the archaeological record is far from conclusive. The Egypt of the pharaohs was a civilization that meticulously documented its history, yet there's no explicit mention of the Israelites' enslavement or their dramatic departure. Some scholars argue that the silence of Egyptian records doesn't necessarily disprove the Exodus. It could be that the event was not deemed significant enough to record, or perhaps it was deliberately erased from history. The lack of concrete evidence leaves us in a realm of speculation and belief. But regardless of the historical veracity of the Exodus, its cultural and spiritual significance cannot be denied. It's a story that has inspired countless generations, a tale of hope and liberation that resonates deeply with the human experience. Could the Exodus have been a real historical event, possibly exaggerated over time? It's a thought worth considering. A shepherd boy, a giant, and a single stone. An emblematic tale of courage that has transcended centuries and cultures, echoing in our ears even today. Yes, we're talking about the biblical tale of David and Goliath. The story, as told in the first book of Samuel, is a classic narrative of an underdog's triumph. A young shepherd, David, defeats a formidable giant warrior, Goliath, with nothing more than a sling and a stone. It's a tale that has inspired countless others, serving as a potent reminder that courage and faith often hold more weight than sheer physical strength. But could there be more to this story than just a metaphorical lesson? Could David and Goliath have been real historical figures? Let's delve into the intriguing possibilities. Firstly, it's important to note that the existence of giants or exceptionally tall individuals in ancient times is not entirely implausible. There are numerous accounts throughout history, independent of the Bible, which mention the existence of such individuals. So the character of Goliath being a giant could potentially hold some truth. As for David, there is more substantial evidence to support his historical existence. The Tel Dan Stele, an archaeological artifact discovered in the early 90s, bears an inscription referencing the House of David. This is widely considered as one of the most significant pieces of evidence for the historical existence of a figure named David, possibly a king, during the relevant time period. However, it's also crucial to consider that stories tend to evolve over time, often becoming more dramatic and exaggerated. So while David and Goliath could have been real figures, the exact details of their encounter as depicted in the Bible might not be entirely accurate. To sum it up, the tale of David and Goliath is not only a metaphorical lesson about courage and faith, but also a narrative that could potentially have historical roots. The evidence, albeit limited, does hint at the possibility of these characters having a place in history. Could David and Goliath be a tale of a real underdog victory, exaggerated over time? It's a possibility. So the next time you hear this tale, remember, there might be more to it than just a wonderful story. Scene script: a man, a Messiah, and a resurrection. The story of Jesus Christ, the man believed to be the Son of God, is undeniably the cornerstone of Christian faith. His birth, life, death, and resurrection form a narrative that has been told, retold, and believed by billions across the globe. The story begins with a miraculous birth announced by an angel to a virgin mother in the small town of Bethlehem. The narrative then traces the journey of Jesus as he grows into a man of wisdom, performing miracles, teaching parables, and amassing followers. His teachings, centered on love, compassion, and forgiveness, challenged the societal norms of the time and invited both admiration and controversy. The climax of the story is the crucifixion, where Jesus was put to death on a cross. This event, the believers say, was not the end but the beginning of the most significant part of the narrative, the resurrection. 3 days after his death, Christ is said to have risen from the dead, defeating death itself, providing the ultimate proof of his divinity. But beyond the realm of faith, what does history say about Jesus Christ? Is there any historical evidence that supports the existence of such a man? Indeed there is. Historical records, including those by Roman historians, do mention a man named Jesus who was a preacher in Judea during the 1st century AD. These records also mention his execution by Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of the region at the time. However, these records, written decades after the events they describe, do not provide evidence of the supernatural events associated with Jesus, such as miracles or resurrection. This disparity between historical records and religious texts has led some to propose that Jesus Christ may have been a real historical figure, with his life and deeds exaggerated over time. This theory suggests that the story of Jesus we know today is a blend of historical truths, myths, and the socio-political context of the time. Could Jesus Christ have been a real historical figure, with his life and deeds exaggerated over time? It's a thought worth considering. As we've explored these biblical stories, we've seen possible truths hidden within them. We've journeyed through tales of great floods, exodus, courage, and divinity, each one wrapped in layers of mystery and intrigue. We started by delving into the enigma of biblical stories, peeling back the layers of myth and legend to uncover potential truths. We discussed the possibility that these stories, while often perceived as purely spiritual or moral teachings, might also contain historical truths. The Bible, after all, is an ancient book, a window into the past, and its stories can offer us valuable insights into the societies and cultures from which they emerged. We then asked the question, fact or fiction? We explored the idea that truth is not always binary, that it can exist in shades of gray. The stories we examined may not be entirely factual in the literal sense, but they can still hold truths in other ways. They teach us about human nature, about our capacity for courage, resilience, and faith. They remind us of our shared humanity, of our struggles and triumphs. Next, we delved into the tale of the Great Deluge, a story that has parallels in many ancient cultures. Could there be a historical basis to this story? Could it be a memory of a real catastrophic flood that occurred thousands of years ago? The possibility is intriguing, and it invites us to look at these stories with a fresh eye. The journey to freedom, the story of Exodus, was our next port of call. A tale of liberation and the pursuit of a promised land. It resonates with so many, even today. It's a story that speaks to the human spirit, to our longing for freedom and a better life. We then explored the tale of courage, the story of David and Goliath, a narrative that has inspired countless generations. It is a reminder that courage is not about the size of the opponent, but about the strength of our conviction. Our exploration brought us to the story of the Son of God, a narrative that has shaped the course of history. Whether one views Jesus as a divine figure or a historical one, his teachings of love, compassion, and forgiveness have left an indelible mark on humanity. Remember, the truth of these stories lies not just in their literal interpretation, but also in their metaphorical, historical, and moral significance. They are a mirror that reflects our own experiences, our hopes, and our fears. They are a testament to the human capacity for storytelling, for creating narratives that give meaning to our existence. So, as we close this exploration, let's not stop here. Let's continue to delve into these stories, to question and seek out their truths. Let's continue to learn from them, to be inspired by them, and to use them as a launching pad for further exploration and understanding. Remember, the truth of these stories lies not just in their literal interpretation, but also in their metaphorical, historical, and moral significance. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.